So we will start today in child's pose. So just spread out through the fingers, drop the head. You can take the knees wide so that you're kind of nestled in between your legs. And take some breaths into the back body. And then come up onto the fingertips, tent the fingers. Maybe walk the fingertips forward just a little bit more to bring more length into the arms. And then as on your next exhale, I want you to just pick your forehead off the mat and just start to round through the spine, keeping the fingers where they are. So it won't be a really deep round, but just a little bit activating the muscles, stretching the muscles at the back. And then relax back down. And then again, on your exhale, pick up the forehead, round through the spine. And come back down. So it's a really subtle movement. And again, exhaling round. And come back down. And then come up. Bring the knees together, sit down onto the heels. And then just clasp your hands together and bring them behind the back of the head. And without flaring your ribs forward, just begin to take your elbows back behind you as much as you can. And then keep the span nice and wide, and we'll begin to rotate the upper body towards the left. So we're really using our core muscles and our back muscles to come into this twist. Get wide with the elbows again. And then slowly come through center. Take a few breaths here. Really, really try to push the elbows open without arching the back. And then we'll twist over to the other side, so over to the right. As much as you can. This is a really active twist, so we're really using our trunk to come into this twist. Get nice and wide in the elbows again. And then come back through center. Take a big inhale, this time a little arch in the back, make space at the throat. And then as you exhale, round, bring the elbows together, squeeze. And then inhale, get wide, open the chest. And exhale, round and squeeze. One last time, inhale. And exhale, round and squeeze. Good. Release the hands. And then I want you to take your weight back. So what we want to feel is a little stretch in the tops of the feet. So you can use your hands behind you to help you until you feel that stretch in the tops of the feet. Your knees will lift. You can keep your hands behind you for support, or if you have the balance, you can maybe bring your hands to heart center. Breathing into the fronts of the feet. And then ease out, come forward, and then just tap the feet on the ground. and then come into tabletop. And as you exhale, come through child's pose. Take a big exhale. And then as you inhale, I want you to stay low on the ground. Bend into the elbows as you come forward. Arch the spine and come into your cow pose. So it's like cat-cow, but it's a little bit more dynamic. So exhale, round the spine, come down, child's pose. And then as you inhale, really get low, come through, arch the spine, and come into cow. We'll do that a few more times. So as you exhale, round the spine, come back to child's pose. And then stay nice and low as you slowly inhale, and then round the spine, straighten the arms. Not round the spine, arch the back, straighten the arms. And again, round the spine as you exhale, come back, child's pose. Stay low, creep yourself forward, and then arch the back, coming into cow. We'll do that one more time. Round the spine, child's pose. And then stay low, bend through the elbows, and then begin to arch as you straighten the arms. Cow pose. Nice. Come back to a neutral spine. And do a little bit more of kind of spinal strength here. So using the back muscles. So extend the left leg out behind you. Flex the foot. And then just bend into the right elbow and bring it up by your side. And then bend into that left leg. And then pull everything up. So you're lifting your floating leg and you're lifting your elbow up as far as it will go. Really engage through the muscles. Maybe lift a centimeter more. Good, and then lengthen out and come back, tabletop. Round through the spine, come up onto the fingertips just to kind of neutralize through the back. Come back, neutral spine. Lengthen out through your right leg. Flex the right foot. And then just bring your left hand, your left arm, bend into the elbow, tuck it in up by your side. Bend into the right knee and then lift everything up. So the leg is lifting, the elbow is lifting. Feel the engagement of your back muscles here. Nice deep breaths. Maybe lift a centimeter more. And then lengthen it all out. Come back, tabletop. Come up onto the fingertips and then round through the spine, bringing the chin towards the chest. And come back to neutral. We'll do one more little back strengthener. So lengthen out through the left leg, toes point down. This time take the arm and bend it so that it's in front of you. Bend that back leg again and then lift everything up. So we're using slightly different muscles here. Really squeeze, try and get a little bit more height. Feel the muscles in your back working really, really hard. And then lengthen out. Come back to tabletop, come up onto the fingertips, round through the spine. Come back to neutral. Other side, so lengthen out through the right leg. Left arm comes up and then elbow bends. Fingers point upwards, bend into the floating leg and then lift everything up. Breathe here. Maybe a centimeter more. and straighten out. Come back, tabletop. Come up onto the fingertips and final rounding of the spine. Chin coming in towards chest. Push into the fingertips. Come back to neutral. And then we'll come into our modified side plank. So keep the right knee where it is. Bottom half of the leg comes to an angle. We're coming up on the right side. So come up to our modified side plank. So right hand, right knee, and left foot is on the ground. So your hand, your knee, and your foot should be in the same line, and your shoulders are stacking. So left shoulder is stacking above the right. And then slowly begin to draw the fingertips towards the front of the room so the arm sweeps across the ear. Bump the hips up. Good. And then gently push into this right hand to help you come up into gate pose. So left leg stays nice and long. Right arm comes up. And then as you exhale, slowly just slide that left hand down the outside of the left leg and take the right arm up and over. Breathe into the right side body. Stay open in the chest. And then come back to our tabletop. And we'll take the same postures on the other side. So keep the left knee where it is. The calf comes out to an angle. We're coming up onto the left hand. Right arm lifts. So left hand, left knee and right foot are all in the same line. Shoulders are stacking. And then once you get there, begin to take the arm across the ear and really bump the hips up. Good. And then bend into this left arm and just kind of gently push yourself up to gate pose on the other side. So right leg is nice and long. Inhale, take the left arm up, and then as you exhale, slowly lean over to the right. So right hand comes down the outside of the right leg. Keep the chest spinning open. And then come back up and come back to tabletop. Tuck under all 10 toes and we'll come up to our downward facing dog. So hands are at shoulder width, feet are at hip width, and just begin to pedal out the feet. And then come all the way up onto the toes and take both heels over to the right. And once you get there, bend into both knees and push into the hands. Feel this stretch coming from your left armpit. And come all the way back up onto the toes and take the heels over to the left. Bend into the knees and push into the hands. And come back to downward facing dog. And we'll come all the way back up onto the toes again. Bend into the knees, get nice and low, look to the front of the mat, and then just step up to the front. Forward fold. Begin to sway from side to side as you bend into one leg and then the other. And then inhale to a halfway lift. And then as you exhale, forward fold. And again, halfway lift as you inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to your halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. And then inhale, sweep the arms up. Tall mountain. And then exhale, hands through heart center. And then take a big inhale, take the arms up again. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, plant the hands, step the left foot all the way back. Keep the hands on the ground. Get nice and long in that back leg. And then step the right foot back to meet the left, downward facing dog. A few breaths here. And then inhale, sweep the left leg up. Exhale, bring the left leg in between the hands so that we're in low lunge on the other side. Get nice and long in that back leg. And then step the right foot to the front to meet the left. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. And inhale all the way back up. Tall mountain. Exhale, hands through heart center. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands. This time, right leg steps all the way back to our low lunge. Really push into that back heel. Get nice and long in that back leg. And then push into the hands. Step the left foot to meet the right, downward facing dog. Nice long back. And then inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, sweep the foot in between the hands. Low lunge on the other side. Sink the hips down. And then step the left foot to meet the right at the front of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. And inhale to come up. And exhale, hands at heart center. Sweep the arms back up as you inhale, and as you exhale, bend into the knees and sink down. We're coming into chair pose. So we're trying not to arch in the back too much. Try and keep the back nice and flat. Most of your weight is going into the heels, so you should be able to wiggle your toes. Sink a little bit lower. And then bring the hands to heart center. Ground into the right foot. Pick the left foot up and see if you can step it back. Crescent lunge. Good. Arms come up. Settle in. Tucking under the tailbone. One more breath here. and then open up to warrior two. So back heel spins down. You're now open to the side of the room. Sink nice and low in that right knee. And gaze over that front middle finger. One more breath here. Good. And then straighten through the front leg. Bring that foot in, so we're coming into a straddle splits. So the feet are parallel to the sides of the mat. Good. And then fold forward until the hands can plant on the ground, and then we'll just walk the hands forward so we're in a wide-legged down dog. Sink down with the forehead and the chest. And then walk the hands back in towards you. And we'll come into a side lunge over to the left. So coming into your side lunge, and it can look like this, it can look like this. You can have the heel lifted. You don't have to be really, really low like this if it's uncomfortable. Once you're down there, see if you can widen out through the arms, take the left hand down, and spin open as you take your right hand up. One more breath here. And then bring the hands back through center. Really use the muscles in your legs. If you need to put your hands down on the ground, you can, but if you can really push into the legs to bring you through center, and then spin back to the front of the mat, to our low lunge, back to the front. Once you get there, step the right foot back, downward facing dog. An opportunity for a vinyasa here. If you're going to take a vinyasa, inhale out to plank. Exhale to come down. Inhale through to your up dog or your cobra. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Take a breath here. And then come all the way up onto the toes. Bend into the knees. Look towards the front of the mat. And either step or hop to the front of the mat. Once you get there, inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. And inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, bring them through heart center. Again, inhale, sweep the arms up, and then sink low in the hips. So sitting down in that imaginary chair, taking most of the weight to the heels. Trying not to round or arch the back too much. Maybe get a little bit lower. Bring the hands to heart center. Ground down through that left foot. See if you can pick the right foot up and then step back. Woo. Crescent lunge. Settle in here for a few breaths. Nice and strong in the legs. One more breath. And then open up, warrior two. So back heel spins down. Front foot is facing forward. Sink down, settle in, get nice and deep in this front knee. Gaze over that front hand. One more breath. And then straighten out through that front leg, and then spin the left foot in so that you have both feet parallel to the edges of the mat. And then we'll fold forward, take the hands down, and then walk the hands forward and sink down. So we're coming into our wide-legged down dog. Walk the hands back in. Once you get there, we're going to take a side lunge to the right. So side lunge to the right. So you're bending into your right knee. And then option here to come into that little twist. So you can straighten out the arms, set the right hand down onto the ground, and then try to stay open in this left arm. Get nice and wide. And then come back. Bring the hands back to heart center and see if you can use the muscles in your legs to push yourself up through center and then back to your low lunge to the front of the mat. Good. Step the left foot back, downward facing dog. And then optional vinyasa, so inhaling out to plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a few breaths here. And then come all the way up onto the toes, bend into the knees, look towards the front of the mat, and you can hop or step or walk back to the front. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. And then inhale to rise. Exhale, hands through heart center. Good. Inhale, take the arms up. Exhale, come into your chair. Remembering to take the weight into the heels. Take the hands through heart center. And this time we'll go into a chair twist. So option to either take the right hand to the outside of the left knee and twist open like that. Or if you want to sink down a little bit lower until you can reach to take the right elbow to the outside of the left knee and come into a twist that way. So whichever variation you've taken, try and keep both knees in the same line. So avoid letting that right knee come forward. And then come back through center. Come up to stand. And then we'll practice some balancing postures here. So ground down through the left foot. Pick the right foot up. Straighten out through the leg if you can. If not, you can keep it bent. And then we want to see if we can just take that right leg and bring it all the way back to our warrior 3. And then bring it back. It will sweep the floor. Once you get back up again, bend the knee if it's not bent already. Sink down into the left leg and take the right ankle on top of the left knee. So we're kind of in a pigeon kind of shape with the legs. Keep flexing into the right foot. Get nice and low. And then straighten back out through the left leg. And we'll do that one more time. I know it's sweaty, but we can do it. So straighten the leg if you want to, or you can keep it bent. And then we're going to start to lean forward as we take that right leg back behind us into our warrior three. Keep the toes pointing downwards so that you know that the hips are square. And then we'll come up. Bend that floating leg if it's not bent already. Sink down, take the ankle on top of the knee, and get really low. Good. Straighten out through that left leg. Come back. And then this time we're just going to step the right foot all the way back. And set the heel down. We're coming into our warrior one legs. So the back foot is at about a 45-degree angle. Hips are facing forward. Bend into the left leg. Take the arms up. And then bring the arms forward. Sweep them back, squeeze the triceps, and then clasp the hands behind you. Really open through the chest so the shoulders roll back, and then lean forward. If this is as far as you want to take it, you just stay here. If you want to come all the way into humble warrior, you can begin to sink a little bit lower. Take the shoulders to the inside of the left knee and see if you can take the fists up and over. If you get down here, you can be looking at the back foot. And release the hands. Frame the left foot with the hands and step back, downward facing dog. Opportunity for a vinyasa here, or you can stay in down dog. Inhale out to plank. Exhale, lower down, hug the elbows into the rib cage. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths here. And then come all the way up onto the toes. Bend into the knees. Look to the front of the mat and hop or step to the front. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back, shoulders away from the ears. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms sweep up. Exhale, bring them down through heart center. And we'll take those same postures on the other side. So inhale, arms come up, and then come down into your chair pose. Okay. From our chair, take your hands to heart center. This time we're going to be twisting over to the right. So option to either take your left hand to the outside of the right knee and just twist using that hand to guide you. Or you can keep your hands at heart center, take the left elbow to the outside of the right knee, and then push into the hands to bring you into this twist. Again, try and keep the knees level, so avoid letting that left knee come in front of the right. Maybe sink down a little bit deeper. And then unwind. Come up to stand. We'll take those balancing postures. So hands at heart center, ground down through the right foot. Pick the left foot up. And you can keep the knee bent, or maybe you practice trying to straighten the leg out. And from here, we'll begin to lean forward as you take the left leg down and back behind you for our warrior 3. Keep the hips nice and square, and then slowly with control begin to rise. Coming back to where we started, and then bend into the leg if it wasn't bent already, and bring the ankle on top of the knee and bend into the right leg to sink down. Keep the left foot flexed to protect your knee and maybe come a little bit deeper. Connect back with your breath. Find a spot on the ground to help you with your balance and come back up to stand. Straighten the leg again if you want to. And then slowly with control coming back to our warrior 3. And then slowly coming back up. Bring the leg out in front. Bend into the knee. Take the ankle on top of the right knee. Sink down. Get nice and low. And then come back up. Come back to where we started. And then this time we're just going to sweep that leg all the way back. Set the foot down, coming into our warrior 1. So back foot at 45 degrees, arms come up. Just check your hips here, make sure they're both facing forward. And settle in. Nice strong legs. And then begin to sweep the arms forward. Lean forward and take both arms back behind you. The palms face down, you're squeezing your triceps. And then clasp the hands behind the back, the opposite way to the way you did it the first time. Squeeze the shoulder blades together and then lean forward. Try and lift the fists up. Stay here if this is enough, otherwise you can come down further. Take the right shoulder to the inside of right knee and take the fists up overhead. One more breath here. Stay strong. And release the hands. Frame the foot. Step back, downward facing dog. And then take your vinyasa if you want to. Inhale to plank. Exhale to come down. Inhale to come up. And this time we'll exhale to our child's pose. And bring the palms together. Squeeze the head slightly and then bend into the elbows. Bring the thumbs to the back of the neck. And then maybe just scoot your elbows forward a little bit until you feel a kind of stretch in your triceps. Use this moment to connect back with your breath. Good, and then lengthen out through the arms. Come up, cross the ankles behind you, and then sit back and take the feet out in front. The feet are planted at about hip width. I'm going to take our hands behind us, fingers pointing forwards, and come into a reverse tabletop. So we're lifting up in the hips, trying to get a nice flat table shape, pushing into the hands, pushing the hips up. Take a few breaths here. And then come back down. Hug the knees, round the spine. Bring the forehead on top of the knees just for a little rest. Good. And then we'll either come back into our reverse tabletop, or if you want to take a different variation, you can straighten out through the legs and come into the same shape but with straightened legs. So whichever variation you're going to take, just bring the hands so the fingers point forward. If you have straight legs, really point through the toes and then push into the heels and come up. Taking a few breaths here. Make space at the throat. And then come down. Bend the knees, hug them in towards you. Drop the forehead down onto the knees and round the spine. Okay, so I thought we would try a little arm balance. It's called elephant pose. Don't really know why, but I guess because it kind of looks like an elephant shape. But so the way we start is that we're just sitting down, lengthen out through the right leg. And then with this left leg, we want to take the left arm to the inside of the left leg and then see if you can just take the left leg just above the elbow. If you can take it higher, even better. So left leg is coming up left arm. If you can get it all the way up to the shoulder, great, but it's okay if it just stays above the elbow. Okay, we ground down through both hands. Bring the hands kind of just in front of the hips. And then as you're creating kind of a shelf for your left leg here on your left arm. Push into the hands and see if you can lift your seat. Okay. So that's the first part. So we're just lifting our seat. Okay, so we're just kind of really squeezing. So we're squeezing the legs around the arm so it stays there. Squeeze and lift. Okay, so that would be the first step. Second step would be to lift the hips and see if you can lift the heel as well. Okay, so the first part for that is just to practice picking up the seat. All right. That does take a little bit of hip openness, so you can practice kind of opening out through the hip to get into that posture. We'll try on the other side. So we're lengthening out through the left leg. Right knee is bent. We take the right hand to the inside of the right knee, and then we're trying to we plant the right hand down, we bend into the elbow and see if we can get the crook of the knee just above the elbow and then squeeze on tight to your arm. So we're squeezing, squeezing, squeezing. Ground down through both hands, keep squeezing on that arm and see if you can pick up the seat. So we're really engaging and contracting the abdomen to do that. You can always practice as well using 2 books on either side or 2 blocks on either side. That will give you a little bit more height. So we can just practice just lifting the seat and doing that. And then once we kind of get the hang of that, we can see if we can lift the seat and lift the heel. Okay, that does take quite a lot of core strength. So that's just something we can kind of play around with at home. Like I said, if you have 2 books that are kind of the same height, or 2 yoga blocks, if you have them, it's going to be much easier to practice with those because you already have the height. So that's just something to kind of play around with. Let's kind of stretch out through the wrists now, because that was quite a lot of wrist work. So bring the backs of the hands together and then start to kind of bend the elbows in so that we're stretching through the top of the wrist. Good, and then bring the palms of the hands together and just push into the palms, stretching through the front of the wrist. And then interlace the fingers, and we'll just start to make some circular motion. And then change direction. Good. And then lengthen out through both legs. Peel out the flesh from underneath. And then with a nice flat back, just begin to creep yourself forward. Keep both feet flexed and try to keep the knees from bending upwards. So we want to keep the legs nice and straight. And if that means you only get to here, but you're still feeling a stretch in the hamstrings, you can stay here. If you can reach the feet, you can use that to kind of help bring you a little bit further into this forward fold. And then slowly come up. Bring the right foot, you can either take it to the inside of the left thigh, or if half lotus is accessible to you, you can come into half lotus. Wherever you are, we're just going to come into our forward fold again. So if you have your half lotus, your heel will kind of round into this little soft bit at your lower belly. And then begin to fold forward. And then slowly come up. Switch sides. So the left sole of the foot is either coming to the inside of the right thigh, or you're taking a half lotus. So bringing the foot up onto the thigh. And then we'll fold forward. Slowly come all the way out. Lengthen out through that leg and come all the way onto your back. Bring the heels close into the sit bones, and we're just going to take a couple of rolling bridges. So 3 rolling bridges. Take the arms out, arms down by the sides, palms face down, and then breath to movement. So take a big inhale as you roll up the spine, picking up the tailbone first, and then vertebrae by vertebrae, lifting up through the hips. So this will help you make your breath really long because we're doing breath to movement. So once you get to the top of your inhale, your hips should be all the way up, and then you can begin to slowly exhale, bringing vertebrae by vertebrae down onto the ground. Last thing to come down is your tailbone. And then again, smooth, long, steady inhale to roll up. And long, steady exhale to roll down. Last time, breath to movement. Inhale to roll up. And exhale to roll down. Good. Cross your right leg on top of your left, and then take both knees over to the right. Take your arms out to the side and look over to the left. Bring both legs back up through center. Switch the cross so the left leg is crossing on top of the right, and then take both knees over to the left and look to the right. And come back up through center. And then final posture, happy baby. So grabbing hold of the outside of the ankles or the outsides of the feet. Shining the soles of the feet up towards the ceiling. Trying to keep the tailbone grounding down, and then you can just rock from side to side. And then we'll come down, take your Shavasana. Legs come out long, let the feet fall open, arms down by the sides. Pick the shoulder blades up off the mat and then set them back down again. Close the eyes. And settle in. Let the body cool down. Breath comes back to its normal rhythm. part the teeth. Let the tongue fall back into the mouth. And then when you're ready, bring some movement back into the fingertips and the toes. And then rotate the wrists and the ankles. And then bring the arms up overhead, stretch out long. Bend into the knees, roll over onto one side. And then push yourself up to a comfortable seat. And let's take our cleansing breath. So deep inhale through the nose and sigh it out the mouth. Bring the hands up through heart center. Namaste. Thank you.